Today on the Nivlac 57 YouTube channel, the straw broke the camel's back. Alright guys, you haven't seen this car in a while, and there's a reason for that. I made the resolution that I wasn't going to show you guys this car again until it either went fast or it broke. Well, unfortunately, it broke. And the other resolution that I made is if I had to drop that K-member again, it wasn't going back up in there with an LS4. So let's start from the beginning. We built this car to compete in the LS4 front-wheel drive challenge. Unfortunately, that event, like many others, got the Rona and didn't make it. So after that, we decided that we were going to start prepping the thing for the other reason that we built it, which was the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. We were heavy in our pursuit of that, and we broke it. If you guys remember the videos, we've had trouble making this thing go straight pretty much from the beginning. I really have to say, front-wheel drive guys out there, I have so much respect for you. Like, the fact that you can make these things work and go as fast as you're going, hats off. It's just incredible. After a lot of bad experiences with this car from last year, I decided I didn't want to drive it anymore. So I handed the keys to Dad, let him make some passes. It tried to kill him a couple times, like it did to me. But his experience led him to a couple fixes to the car that I probably never would have realized just because I don't have the same experience as he does. My dad and I are not really the type to quit. If we set a goal, we're going to try and accomplish it. The goals for this car were to go an 8-second quarter mile. We didn't get there. We've had 2 engine failures and a transmission failure. I can't tell you how many times I've had this cradle out of the car, and I'm done with it. Now, I could end the video there. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to leave it on such a low note. So now I'm going to get to the title of the video. Front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive. So, what we have here, or what we had here, was an LS4. They're a 5.3 liter, a Garrett GT4294 turbo on it. We had 706 heads on it, an LS7 cam, PAC 1218 valve springs, 311 final ratio, a 4T80E transmission, which is basically a front-wheel drive for L80E with slightly different gear ratios. And a 4L80E is basically a turbo 400. So I thought it would be cool. Let's take all of the parts that we use to put this together and transfer them over to a rear-wheel drive build and see how they compare. So let's introduce our rear-wheel drive test subject. Alright guys, this is my dad's 1980 Pontiac Sunbird. And this is our rear-wheel drive test subject. So let's explain why we picked this car. Alright, so what we have here is a Gen 4 aluminum 5.3. We took the same heads off the LS4, the same camshaft, the same valve springs, and we put them into a car with roughly the same wheelbase, and we're going to run the exact same slick on the car. So let's talk about theory. So in theory, a front-wheel drive car is better than a rear-wheel drive car because in a lot of cases the engine is transversely mounted. And in that case, all of your gears are going in the same direction. Nothing has to change 90 degrees or anything like that. This means that their drivetrains are much more efficient than a standard rear-wheel drive application. Also, their drivetrains tend to be lighter because they don't have a drive shaft or anything like that. Anytime that you're taking power and trying to turn it 90 degrees, there's going to be a lot of power loss. This is why all-wheel drive cars tend to have a lot of drivetrain loss, because a lot of those cars are mounted transversely and they have to turn the rotation 90 degrees and then 90 degrees again. That being said, the disadvantages of a front-wheel drive car are obviously traction. You are trying to accelerate the car, and naturally the weight of the vehicle is going to shift towards the rear simply because of inertia, and this will take weight off of the front of the vehicle and basically make it harder to get traction. Also, you are sending power to the same wheels that you have to steer with. So if there's any uneven force being applied to your tire, it will induce something called torque steer. I've experienced this quite a few times, and so has my dad, and hence why we don't want to do front-wheel drive anymore. So, advantages for rear-wheel drive are basically what I just stated. Naturally, as the car accelerates, it's going to shift weight towards the back, which should help you get traction. Also, aftermarket availability for rear-wheel drive applications is just going to be better simply because it's more popular. And for good reason. What are we doing to try and make this as even of a comparison as possible? Right off the bat, you're going to notice some differences. We're running a Trailblazer SS intake on this car. On the Talon, we ran a LS1 intake. Also, we're running a larger turbo. We are running a S480 cast turbo, which has a bigger compressor and a bigger turbine. Also, we're running a 327 rear gear in this car. The Talon had a 311, so there's a little bit of an advantage to the rear wheel drive there, depending on how you look at it. So to even the playing field, what we're doing on the rear wheel drive car is we are not running an intercooler. This probably will kill a decent amount of power. But what I really want to try and do is find a equal crankshaft power level to compare this rear-wheel drive car against a previous pass that we made with the front-wheel drive car. Honestly, I'm very excited to see the comparison. So there's going to be some stuff that we do that are not going to be fair between the two of them, but we're going to try our best to even the playing field as much as possible. I've never seen this kind of comparison done before, and frankly, I'm really interested to see the results. Unfortunately, we don't have time in today's video to show you the results, but you can look forward to them in future videos, so make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.